What is going on, everybody? How are we doing today? Welcome back. And you guys, happy 1 year anniversary, UVE community. It has been, yesterday was 1 year to the day that my first video dropped on the channel. Feels like it's gone by very, very quickly. Feels like it's grown very, very quickly. But that's nothing to do with me, everything to do with you guys. But it has been 1 year and it has been a wild, wild ride, right? We've come a long, long way together, right? Fatboy Slim, anybody? No? Am I the only old one? All right, cool. But it has been a year. This is this I found this the other day. This was the thumbnail from my first my first video that dropped. Look at this guy. Look at that hair. Wow. This was back when the channel was called Attack, Attack, Attack. And it was really starting out as a podcast, not as a YouTube channel, but it kind of grew a little bit. Sorry, I've got a dog hair on my mouth. I was playing with the dogs. But yeah, as you can see, not much has changed. But man, it has been a wild, wild ride, and I could not be just more thrilled with getting to know a whole lot of you guys, getting on just to chat about United with everybody, and man, just seeing the channel grow and seeing the community grow it's been really, really cool. So thank you guys for just doing that, for being a part of that and growing it. But it's been, let me see who's in the chat before we get started here. Robert Reed in the house already. Danny B already. How's everyone doing? Box getting in on it, man. Good to see you, Box. Robert, I'm going to put your comments on in a second. I just don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, if that makes sense. But appreciate everyone getting involved. Hope everyone's day is going well. It's been crazy, rainy, and freezing cold here today, but it has been a year. This is United versus everybody. I am Sean, and you guys are the UVE community. And I got to say, sometimes, as much fun as it's been in this past year, sometimes it is miserable a little in some ways doing this channel, because mostly because of matches and results and performances like yesterday. I just wish I didn't have to relive those. Right? It'd be much easier just to let it do what it do and then just move on with my life. But it is what it is. I'm just still, the joy I get of chatting with you guys outweighs the misery of reliving the kind of crap we had to watch yesterday. But in any case, United's hunt for back-to-back league wins continues, because we dropped points to Forest on the road, lost 1-0, extending Forest's winning streak at home in the process as well. It was a very frustrating match to watch. I don't know about you guys. I was frustrated watching it. Like, I was eerily quiet watching it. Just there wasn't really much to get loud about, right? I mean, and it's frustrating, I think, most of all because Forest played exactly how we said they would in the preview, and United just didn't look like they had a plan for it. Didn't look like they had done any sort of opposition analysis. Didn't look like they had any answers for it. And I'm not buying this whole party line from some of the commentators and Ruben Amorim himself that United were the better side, because I don't think we were the better side, and I'm going to tell you why. Forest had a plan. They have a well-drilled system, and it worked because we played into it. So therefore, they were better than us. Yes, it looks like on paper, cool, we had this much percentage and this much XG and this many shots on target. Doesn't matter. It's exactly what Forest set out to do, make themselves hard to break down and hit us on the break. And they did it over and over again. We're lucky they only managed to get one goal. So, I mean, the only point in the match I thought maybe we looked good was in the last few minutes, when we started really piling on the pressure a little bit. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're going to go through the whole motion, and we don't want to open a book and jump straight to the middle. So we're here to react to the performance, as we do lose 1-0 to Forest. Please like the video if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Please check out the memberships to learn how you can get more involved in the content and even on the actual live stream. And then keep a lookout in the future for these bad boys. The United versus everybody shirts. They will be available soon once I get this LLC paperwork in. We've got them in hoodies. We've got them in women's sizes. We've got them in men's. We've got them in long sleeves. We got them with white print. As Danny pointed out, we might get some green and gold print in there as well for the Glazers out. But I'd love to get these all over the world if I can. It'd be great to see these people, everybody getting involved. So let me see what else we were getting stuck in with here. We're going to start with the starting 11 thoughts. So get your thoughts in on that. Danny says, same story we stuck with since Eric Ten Hag started. Shit in the final third. Can't create everything. Box says it was an even game. I think Box, I think it looked more even than it actually was, simply because, again, Forest were happy to kind of, they weren't pressing us very high. Once we got to like the midfield, that's when they started to kind of press and try to hit us on the break. So it looked even. It looked like we were kind of in control, but I don't think we were, because that's exactly what Forest wanted us to do. We played in to their hands with respect. Sanjay, good to see you. How are you doing, my friend? All right, let me run back up here. Robert Reed says, what went wrong? Simple. We had 66% possession. That shows against a top four club we can put the ball to two-thirds of the pitch. It's the final that we break down. We need 2 10s, at least 1 9 ASAP. Yeah, we didn't really have a plan. We just kind of hoofed it, and it just wasn't working. We're going to talk about a lot of that, but I'm just really, really annoyed right now. Robert says, Garnacho needs bench, and if Shaw could find it in his weak his heart to play it, we could give Dorgu a breather. Yeah, Dorgu did not have a great match. He was frustrating me. Danny says, Robert, you agree with everything 100%. But the Shaw part, rather play Amos now while we have nothing to lose. Blood him in for next season. Yeah, Dorgu had a bit of a stinker. A couple people had a bit of a stinker. We're going to chat about all that as well. Box says, I felt most of our players were below par. Dallo, probably one of our better players. Yeah, I agree. Then he says, Nuno switched back three when Aina got injured, started to defend his lead early, knowing we have Dalu who can create shit. Yeah, Dalu, to his credit, he looked good up, and it's just with Dalu, it's always been that final ball. His 1v1s has decreased, but even when he was at his best, Dalu, his final ball has just never been great, and he's just never improved that. But we've seen that at United from a number of players in terms of there are very basic but vital aspects to the way they play that they've never, like Rashford's decision making in the final third never improved, kind of stuff. Like we've seen that from a number of United players over the years. Bug says Dallo looked better than, yeah, he did look better. Dorgu was having an absolute mare. Rob, welcome, good to see you. Evening all. How are you, my friend? Rob says only call highlights. Hate that you only get 3 minutes highlights on YouTube. Yeah, if you do, I think if you could find like Sky's channel or the Premier League's official channel, or if you have MUTV, they do like the 90 and 20 kind of a thing. So, but yeah, like Buck says, you didn't miss a lot. It wasn't very good at all. It was just us kind of trying to hoof it long and not doing a whole lot. Then he says, we need a huge summer. It'll be the same old poo-poo next season. Next same old poopa, as Jamie Tart would say. Poopa. So thoughts on the starting 11. Interesting to see how we lined up. Højlund on the bench was a bit of an eyebrow raiser considering the form he had going into the international break and scoring for Denmark. Xerxes as a 9. We've seen that Xerxes can't really do much as a 9. It looked maybe for a second like Amorim was kind of thinking, okay, they're going to be compact. There's not going to be a whole lot of room to run, which is what Højlund's best attribute really is. So maybe we'll try to win those balls and we'll try to get some runners around Xerxes, but Xerxes is just not that guy. It didn't quite go Amorim's way, did it? We're going to get to that later. Bruno Garnacho obviously lining up in the 10. Bruno was playing in the pivot for a while, and he put him back in the 10, which is where Xerxes was doing just fine. So again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know what Amorim's thought was there. And then a pretty interesting pivot in Ugarte and Casemiro, which I think that's just not set up right. Like Casemiro is that one you want when you're not really high up the pitch. It was, again, we played into their hands. When they were backing off and let us get space, Casemiro was getting forward. That's not where you want Casemiro, and he's done well when we've kind of sat back alone. Mount back on the bench, and what about Sekou Kone getting on the bench? I posted that when I saw that. It was pretty exciting. Harry Amos back in the squad too. It was a bummer we didn't get to see Kone get any minutes, but it's good to see him in there. The first half was just it just started off a bit shit show, man. Counterattack from our corner. Again, how many times have we seen this over years? We get a corner and the opposition immediately gets a counterattack, and then they carry it from literally their box into ours and score. That's what Elanga did within 5 minutes. I mean, no one makes a challenge at all. They're just stepping off, just running with him. It's like they were just out for a jog together in the park. And it was so frustrating, man. Like, we were so bad at defending those long balls, those counterattacks all day. Let a lot of the long balls that Forrest hoofed up the field bounce, causing ourselves problems instead of just dealing with it. Yoro's not really ever been great at this. DeLitt was surprisingly frustrating early on. It was like that first goal shook them, and then they just got a little too scared of what Forrest offered on that counter. Not good enough. It's some of the worst defending I've seen. And it's not the first time we've conceded a goal like that from that Alanga scored. We did it against Spurs, FC Twente. You guys remember that? Just opposition just has free run, just carries it from their box to ours and scores, and it's really, really annoying. And of course, it had to be Anthony Alanga. I mean, that's just the way it works with us, right? And the media loved it. The press ate it up. The rivals ate it up, and the anti, that portion of the fan base who's out there like we never should have sold Alanga, they loved it too. People need to chill on the Anthony Alanga revisionism, though. Like, I'm not saying he's crap or anything, but again, this is why I say over and over again, it's about systems. He's doing well, Anthony Alanga, because the system Nuno plays suits his skill set. Quick transitions, counterattacks. Put Alanga in a Pep Guardiola side or an Arsenal side under Arteta, and he's going to struggle when he doesn't have room to run. Just like Rashford did when we stopped playing Ollie counterattack ball, and he couldn't just run straight for 90 minutes. When you have to slow down, when you can't play the way you want to play, you're going to struggle. Alanga's doing well, to his credit, because the system suits him. Oh, I got to get caught up here. RSV, welcome back. Are you enjoying this rain, man? I'm so sick of it. It just, when it rains here in Michigan, it just rains like nonstop. It just never just like a couple hours. It's literally just all day long, and it's so frustrating. But big up. I'm not too mad at the overall performance. I'd be very concerned if we played like Forest and stunk it out with a 1-0 win. Well, Forest are in third, and that's the way Forest play. So it is what it is. And again, we played into their hands. We did exactly what we made them better on the day by just letting them kind of dictate how things went. RSG says, the way Forrest played smells like us under Ole Gunnar 2021 and Ten Hag, which was great for the short term, which translated to long-term failure. Hey, Nuno is about to get Champions League football. I mean, I'm sure he's not complaining about it. He's got the players for it. I mean, they could probably stand to get a better striker. Didn't think Awani looked that great. Chris Wood's actually injured, and he's like 30-something. If Forrest got a better striker, they could definitely do some damage to some teams here. Danny says, Xerxes is definitely not a 9. Maybe he could do it in a promising or polished team, but not with this lie. He's not a 9, and I just don't get the tinkering. There's no need to tinker. It was so annoying. Danny says, yeah, that counterattack goal happened against Spurs. Yeah, it's just, who was that carried that ball? Was that freaking Van de Ven that did that? So annoying. RSV says, I'm not trying to sound salty, but this ain't sustainable for the long term for Forest. They play the deepest block than any other team and average the lowest possession. Don't create much for a team. But they've got 2 players that are literally in the top 10 in the Premier League for possession, 1 in the final third, because that's what they do. They want to win the ball quick and set up a midfield block and get quick transitions, and they do force you into these pressing traps. If you notice, they waited until we got the ball up near midfield, and they waited till we got it up into like wide positions to press. You notice that they would go to like do a feint press, and then they would back off because their triggers were in different areas. So again, we play it into their hands. We just did, and the problem was we weren't moving the ball quickly enough too. But we're going to talk about that as well. Box says defense looked very uncomfortable. Yeah, they looked shaky. That first goal from Alanga, and to their credit, Forrest didn't do anything for the rest of the 90 minutes, but still, I mean, we had 68% possession on the night, 23 shots, 6 shots on target, 10 corners, and like a XG of like 2.2, 2.3 something. I mean, we peppered them. But like I said ahead of the match, they make themselves compact. I mean, they blocked 8 of those shots, 6 of them, and the rest of them were all off target. So of the 23 shots we had, 14 were either blocked or off target. It's just not good enough from us. It's no coincidence either that their keeper was man of the match as well. Like that's just what we did. The final ball I thought was poor from everyone, whether it was a shot, a cross, or just a simple pass to a cutback. It was just not good. We just need better players in that final phase, like you guys have been saying, because it's just not good enough. Whether it's Xerxes, Garnacho, Dallo, it's just not good enough. And so many players just had stinkers, just like the FA Youth Cup match we talked about the other day. When so many of your key players, the players who normally deliver, have off days, it's gonna be a struggle. And that's what happened yesterday, especially the players that we rely upon just did not show up. Players who were into a brilliant run of form going into the international break just did not show up. Too many players had a bad day, and it was frustrating to watch. Mizraoui, I thought, started off looking really, really shaky. He was stuck between two minds constantly when we were hit with those counterattacks. Didn't know whether to step in, whether to step back, and it's causing us problems. He stepped in once where he shouldn't have, and it let Elanga have nothing but space on our left hand side. He stepped back when he should have stepped up earlier than that. Like it looked like that first goal. It's like when that Mike Tyson quote, like everyone's got a plan till they get hit. We probably had a plan. We got hit, and then everyone freaked out. You could see it on their faces. Mizraoui looked like a deer in headlights. Um, he grew into the game, to his credit, Mizraoui, and he ended up with the most tackles in the match, but he also simultaneously lost the most duels. So make of that what you will. Uh, Danny on RSV says 100% switch to a back five low block after a half hour. Yeah, they started in the mid block as their system, and then they were like, well, you guys can't do anything, so we're just going to chill. Rob, obviously Elanga was up for it. I mean, you just hoof it long, and Elanga's going to do something with it. Rob says Onana looked like a tree long time. He's not the most agile keeper, I'll say that. RSV says if you go to Mark stats, you will see Forest stats. Yeah, the stats are rough. I mean, and a lot of the stats, possession, passes, all that is great, but this is like what Louis Van Gaal and what I've said many times. Possession doesn't mean anything. Shots don't mean anything. XG doesn't mean anything if you're not doing anything with it. And so it's freaking annoying. Bach says Elanga went a year without scoring for United. Yeah. He's going to have a hard time at that time when we have Rashford, Sancho. I think Dan James might have still been here. I can't remember now off the top of my head. Bach says Yates was all over Bruno like a rash. Yeah, I got thoughts on guys like Yates and Gibbs Whites later on. We'll take that. But Yates was a little dirtbag. Rob says, did Garnacho get any of his long? None of Garnacho's shots were on target. Literally none. Back to defense, though. I mean, De Ligt was another one I was very frustrated with yesterday. He struggled to take care of the danger whenever those long balls got hooked up the pitch. Just too many of those balls we let bounce. Like, I don't know what the deal was. Like, this is just like clearing the danger when the ball's in the box. Just get rid of it. Why is that ball bouncing? All you're doing is causing problems. And he's an experienced professional. He really shouldn't be letting those things, because it just causes problems. Just deal with it. Get rid of it. I don't care where it goes. Just get rid of it. Yoro has been guilty of this for a while. He's still young, and so I'm trying to give him the benefit of a doubt that he's still kind of getting a feel for those situations. But again, too many of those balls were allowed to bounce, and you just open yourself up to all sorts of problems when you do that. But to Yoro's credit, he did make a brilliant last man tackle to deny Elanga later on. That was probably one of the best tackles. Like that one he did against Liverpool earlier in the season. Like, his tackling is on point. Like Wan-Bissaka, it's a bummer that he has to do it, if that makes sense. Like, he shouldn't have to do that. Even Maldini used to say, like, if I have to make a tackle, I've already failed. Like, you shouldn't have to do that. You got to read the situation a little better. But Euro did win all of his tackles, and he won 4 out of 6 duels. So not going to go too hard in him. It's the other players like Bruno that I'm really frustrated with too. He couldn't complete simple passes, Bruno. A lot of his passes were just behind a teammate, ahead of a teammate, just for no reason. He had so many sloppy touches, led to us losing possession a lot. He lost 10 of his 17 duels, only 4 out of 9 crosses completed, and only 7 of 12 long balls. It's ridiculous. But he had crazy amount of the ball. He had 111 touches, Bruno, and he did create the most chances. So fuck me, right? I mean, what do I know? But again, this is where the stats get it, because you can look at that and say, oh, he created the most chances. Awesome. Because that's what certain, United fans on Twitter who make a name for statistics, they will point out those numbers, but they won't look at the whole context. And like, when you're watching him play yesterday, can anyone say that Bruno had a good game? No. Maybe give him like a 2 out of 10, perhaps. Garnacho, again, another one. He was his worst self yesterday, Garnacho. His touch was heavy. His shots were shit. Literally 0 of 6 shots on target for whoever asked. Crosses, crap. 0 of 7 crosses for a winger is garbage. Like, that's unacceptable. and he lost possessions so many times. He only won 4 out of 13 duels. Literally less than a third of his duels won. And he showed, like, again, his worst self yesterday. Not just those numbers, but just the behavior. Like, stupid to kick the ball away and get a yellow. That was ridiculously childish and immature. And then his soft as shit challenge on the Langa, right before Langa scored. Like, just pull him down, man. Do an ollie and just take it. I don't care. He had 2 other defenders there. All he would have gotten for that was a yellow. That's the kind of stuff, like, that's the mentality I'm talking about. Garnacho has a lot to do to convince me that he's got a long-term future here, because I'm not seeing enough from him. I'm not seeing the mentality. I'm not seeing the consistent numbers. He doesn't look like he's getting better. He has these up and downs, which, again, for the first couple of years as a youngster, yeah, we're going to be patient. But he's been doing this now. This is almost 3 years complete at the first team level. Like, he's got to do better. He just has to. Box says 1 was blocked. They went high. Yeah, they're all freaking done. Danny says 210s, experience 9, and a proper deep line playmaker, right wing back. Yep. Go get me Cherky. Go get me Nippon. Go get me Jonathan David. Go get me Arden Yashari. Can you dig it? Get it done. Rob says, would you guys swap cells for Onana? I'd swap my friggin' wife for Onana and let her sit in goal. She would just chill against the post with her laptop and a blanket. She'd be asking what the Wi-Fi password was, and she'd probably do a better job than Onana at this rate. But I don't blame Onana a whole lot. There's not much you can do when you've got 3 defenders who literally can't stop Elanga from scoring on a counterattack. And Elanga had nothing, was able to get that ball all the way up. I don't fault keepers for situations like that. Like, that's not on him, in my opinion, but Onana is done with it. So, Danny says 100% on Garnacho, dude. Dorgu had a stinker as well. Very sloppy on the ball, I thought, Dorgu, especially in the second half. He just is still not in sync with his teammates. He looked very hesitant, not quite sure what to do. 0 out of 5 crosses again from him. His duels were good, 6 out of 8 duels, and he completed 2 out of 2 long balls. But again, this is what happens. I mean, the guy came in, he played like 1 match, and he immediately got a red card, and so he's missed literally like a month of football. Dorgu, he hadn't had a chance to play in an actual match with his teammates, and so I get it, but again, it's the stuff like the crosses. I'm like, your crosses have to do better, man. Your crosses are either going way behind someone or they're just not going anywhere, and that's super frustrating. Rob says Benjamin just really lies to him, lies in statistics. Box says Garnacho is painful to watch. When he's, like I said, when Garnacho is at his worst, like he was yesterday, he is painful to watch because it's just frustrating as hell. Danny says we need better than David, I think, Sean. I mean, I think David's probably, for me, David's one of the best strikers out there right now, and he's a free agent. I think that to me is a no-brainer. He's been scoring easily like double-digit goals and almost 24 goals a season for the last like 6-7 seasons to me. And again, everyone's gonna have a preference. I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong. That would just be, I would do if I like. He's only 25, free agent. I think he's good, but I mean, there are probably better strikers out there, but I think that for what he's done numbers wise, for his age, for the price, I think he ticks a lot of boxes for me. So Shesko would be a good one too. I mean, I wouldn't mind Shesko personally either, but he's going to be more expensive. So Box says Garnacho used to curl him in last year, and the year before now he can't score. It's just, yeah, in this he's just rushing it. Danny said the fans will be after Dorgu next. Yeah, the fans will easily be after Dorgu, which the guy's 20. He's 20. And this is, people need to quit going so fast on these younger players. They've done it with Højlund already. Højlund, so before he got to United, so Højlund had played about 15 more first team matches at like a senior level than Dorgu by the time he got to United. So literally both of them roughly similar experience by the time they got to United. And so I think that people need to chill a little bit when it comes to these young players, man. Rob says, these guys are rusty or tired after the internationals. The ones who didn't go probably chilled too much. I don't know what the plan was when we weren't doing internationals, but they just, I hate the international break, and we're going to talk about that. Rob says, though Forrest had just played 120 minutes and have internationals. Yep. We're talking about that in a couple seconds. I'm getting there. Danny says, Chewy better than Shesko, but I don't think Shesko would do much better than Rasmus would. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Rasmus didn't do horribly when he came on. So I thought Dallo had a decent game, created 3 chances, 4 out of 5 dribbles. But again, 2 out of 9 crosses for a fullback is just not acceptable. It's like, how do you not have any accurate crosses as a winger, Garnacho? Like, that's not okay. Casemiro and Ugarte were quiet. They just looked like they were kind of struggling to win that battle in midfield. But taking both of them off for like attacking players was a little odd to me. It was a big gamble. Højlund came on, and literally his first touch, Højlund, was to win that corner. I thought Højlund looked good overall. Looked like he was up for it. He was buzzing around that final third, getting involved, winning the ball, getting into dangerous positions. I think it's clear that he should have started probably. Xerxes I didn't think was very effective. And I knew he wouldn't be when I saw he was starting as the 9. Like, he's just not a 9. He's dropping deep too often to get on the ball. He doesn't give us. And when your striker's got to drop that deep, what are you going to do when you get the ball? There's nobody in the box, nobody in that final phase to get on the end of something. And so it was. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but hey, and look at that. Mount got some minutes, about 13, 15 minutes or so. And he did nearly score, Mason Mount. So to his credit, he did fine. By then it was just a little too late. So really, really frustrating. I would have liked to seen Collier maybe get some minutes. I think Collier would pretty much have done the same thing Xerxes was doing, but I think that it would have allowed us to do a little bit more. But what are you going to do? Box says I would have played Collier. Yeah, Collier, I think, probably could have done a very good job. Rob says, we need prime Peter Beardsley to show Bruno how a 10 is done. And normally Bruno does. It's just, he just had an off day. I mean, Bruno had, what, six goal involvements in the 2 matches we had before the international break, including a hat trick against Sociedad. I don't know what else he can do. He's doing just fine. But again, the problem is when you've got one player who's kind of carrying all the responsibility for creating from deep, from progressing it forward, for creating chances, and lately scoring the goals. When that one player is the only one doing that, and that one player has a bad day, everyone's going to have a bad day. And Bruno just had an off day. Maybe it's getting to be, he's getting older now, and it's starting to catch up with him, the minutes, but we don't have anybody else who can take over that role and like rotate. We can't even let Bruno come off as a sub with like 5 minutes to spare. We just can't, because no one else is delivering, and so it's super, super frustrating. Block says Bruno's ball to Garnacho was pinpoint, and Garnacho fluffed it. Yeah, Garnacho was just, again, this is why Bruno, if we had better attackers in the side, Bruno would have a Ballon d'Or by now, because he'd easily have twice the assists that he does. And he's already, I mean, look at the chances he created versus the assists. Like, it's so disproportionate. He deserves better players around him. But let's dive into my 3 thoughts, you guys. Please get your thoughts in. Please hit that like button for me and subscribe if you are new, because I'm going to start with my big one just to get it out of the way. Dude, F the international break. Like, seriously, F the international break. I know one of you guys mentioned it, and everybody was talking about it ahead of the game because that's what the media do. But all the talk was about how Forest just played 120 minutes. United had more time to rest. United should be like, Forest are at a disadvantage. No, we're not at a disadvantage. They're match fit. They're ready to go. We were not match fit. We were freaking slow, lethargic. Nobody was in sync with each other. Nobody, like, too many players were just sloppy and just behind everything. Despite that pity party for Forest going into it, the international break completely disrupted our momentum and our individual player form. And we looked at, I mean, we were disjointed, we were out of sync, and not once did we look like we were on the same page with one another. It barely looked like some of our players had ever even played together, like Dorgu and Garnacho in particular. I know Amorim had some comments too, but they were never on the same page. They just, one pass was behind. Garnacho wasn't sure if Dorgu was running. He would just play a pass, and Dorgu wouldn't have made the run. Like, there's just not there. And it probably has a lot to do, like I said, with Dorgu being suspended for 3 matches. So literally like a month, including the international break. But it's just so frustrating because we were doing so well, and then it just ruined everything. And I don't know what we have to do to get these stupid mid-season international breaks done. And like, can we just save them for like a month in the summer or something every year and just stop doing them mid-season? It's so annoying, man. Super, super annoying. Asif, welcome back. Says, I think Ruben and coaching staff have concentrated on the defensive side of the team and far less on the attacking side, perhaps due to the lack of training days. Well, whatever they did not work going into this. Freaking annoying, man. Danny says we need a huge summer window. It's a very important summer. Probably one of our most important, because it's the first summer of our proper rebuild with all of the necessary parts in place. The coaching staff, the manager, the new recruitment side, the new ownership, all those are finally now in place. Now, we saw a little bit of a glimpse of it in January, and I liked what we saw. We made 3 signings in January, one of which will join in the summer. Aiden Heaven was the other one, and Dorgu, but they're all very young. So I would like to see us get a little bit of a mix in there. But Doc says we only need about 8 signings. Yeah, add another 0 to that, and maybe a 1 in front of it. Maybe better yet. Jay, welcome back. Says the international break needs to be scrapped. Instead, you want to give players a break. Just do that. Too much football and no rest/breaks makes no sense. It doesn't. And players and managers are starting to get really frustrated with the increased UEFA competitions and how many more matches, and now you've got this talk of World Cup being expanded as well. Like, it's just too much football. It's not necessary. Do an international thing in the summer, like just for like a month in the summer, and then that can be your qualifying times and whatever. But we pay the wages, the players work for us. Like, there's no reason to go out and risk it and then disrupt the whole momentum. Like, I don't understand why the leagues are not more vocal about this. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. You guys know going into it, I was so frustrated about it. But then it's a 6-7, I'd be happy with Box, but it's not happening. Yeah. Ashley says perhaps Garnacho had a long trip back. He wouldn't even go on international duty, man. He wasn't even selected, so Garnacho has zero excuses. Rob says Alex had the same idea with stopping Giggs playing for Wales. Hated that. Yeah, you guys know I always push for these players to come down with the international break flu when the friendlies come around, because it's just no need for it. Just tell your international coaches, hey, you know what, I'm sick. And you got a new manager, you're trying to make an impression, you're trying to learn the system. It doesn't make sense to take 2 weeks off. But I don't know. You guys let me know. Move on to my next point here. Where was the urgency? So you guys let me know if I'm the only one who felt this, but did anyone else feel like we started playing slower after we conceded that goal within the first 5 minutes? I mean, I get that you don't want to panic, but time just kept ticking by while we were happy to play the ball from one wing back to the other wing back via all 3 of our center backs. Again, there's that horseshoe pass pattern because nobody was moving the ball forward. It was all sideways passes, unless it was a hopeful long ball to nobody or a cross to literally no one. All our passes were just side to side in our own half. And I don't get what the whole thought process was behind those long balls. I mean, Forest were happy to put like so many numbers back. They were happy to sit back and not press us high up the pitch. And whenever we put those long ball forward, it was just Garnacho trying to get on the end of one, and it never worked because he's literally the same thing as Hoyland early in the season, just always double marked, isolated. You can't do anything with that. I don't know what you're thinking, hoofing a long ball to Garnacho, one of the shortest players on the pitch, with guys like Milinkovic covering him. Like, just doesn't make sense. I understand that Forest make it difficult to play through midfield, and we were struggling to do that, but was there no plan to address that? There's no plan to say, hey, they get back in numbers, let's move the ball a little quicker, let's get this ball wide, get it forward. I mean, Dorgu had some opportunities to do it, but again, and Dallo, to his credit, but again, that final ball too was just awful. I mean, we talked about this in the preview about the way they were going to set up. Did nobody have a plan for that? It's just so frustrating, man. They scored 5 minutes in, and neither side did anything for the rest of the match, and it just didn't look like we realized that we were losing. And how many times have we felt that from these players, this team? Like, there's no urgency, there's no sense of, okay, we need to pull ourselves back into it. Nobody just looked all that, nobody looked like they were ready to take responsibility, and then the players who usually do just were not good. Vox says Milinkovic, Murillo, strong unit. Yeah, Murillo was. Yeah, he's a good little defender. I like Murillo a lot. He's got that Licha vibe to him that I really love. Teresa, welcome back. How are you doing? Hello, everyone. Amorim did say he watched previous matches to learn more about players. He knows who to use when. They should have won, but it seems the players want to prove they're good enough. If the players want to prove they're good enough, they are failing. But I just didn't get a sense of urgency. I felt like it was just sideways, sideways horseshoe pattern. We're down 1-0. We've got a whole match to play after first 5 minutes conceding a goal, and it just looked like a combination of no plan of attack, but also too afraid to lose the ball and have to deal with another transition counterattack. It looked like our defenders were so shaky. They were so afraid of losing the ball. They were so afraid of making a bad pass that they were happy just to pass it sideways. This is why don't buy into the pass completion stat when it comes to defenders, especially because that right there will show 100% pass completion, even though it was 10 yards this way or 10 yards that way. Context. But we'll see. Teresa says, are they afraid to be moved out next season? They seem to be doing what not to do. Some of them just need to go. They've had their chances. It's time to go. Sorry, but it's what it is. But you guys let me know if I'm the only one who thought that we just did not look like in a big hurry to try to claw back into this game. But I'll move on to number 3. And this might be controversial, but I do want your opinions here. Did Amorim get it wrong? I thought that starting Xerxes over Højlund was the wrong decision. And you think that Amorim would have learned that after that Arsenal match where Xerxes struggled as a 9, but he didn't. He's not a 9. I don't know why we're playing him there. He was never in a good position to win anything. I didn't really remember him doing a whole lot of note. He had a couple of good spells of possession where he was able to dribble a little bit, but again, when you're the 9, you shouldn't be dropping that deep. Like that's why Xerxes was playing as one of the 10s, where he can do that a little bit more, get the ball up to find the 9. I just should have stuck with Højlund. Højlund's been in good form. Højlund up top, Xerxes in the 10, Bruno deep, like Garnacho on the right. I don't know why we tinkered. It's like Amorim took a big giant step backwards in terms of tinkering with something that didn't need to be tinkered with. Really frustrating to see both our defensive-minded midfielders taken off as well when maybe the plan was just, Forrest were going to sit back. Maybe there wasn't a need, but our defenders were struggling a bit defending those wide balls in the channels. Left us very lightweight in midfield, I thought, but I would have liked to seen Collier maybe come on for Xerxes a little later as well. And I thought what really frustrated me too, this is why I'm getting really annoyed. Euro came off for Maguire with like 3 minutes left of regular time remaining. And it was just the same thing we've seen from Amorim a couple times now. Like same old tactic of using Maguire as another striker, leaving him and Højlund up top and just hoofing a ball into the box for Maguire to get a head on. I mean, is that where we're at? Is that all Amorim has in his locker when we're chasing the game with 5 minutes to go, is stick Maguire in the box and try to let him get a head on it? I mean, that's not the sort of in-game management that fills me with a ton of confidence. I'm not going to lie. You guys let me know if I'm just going a little too harshly on that, but I was very frustrated with some of the decisions. I was very frustrated with the team selection from Amorim. I did think he got a lot of that wrong, personally. It just didn't. There's just so much that he changed that didn't need to be changed. And then again, the biggest worry for me again was resorting to just hoofing it to Maguire and trying to get him to head it. And Maguire could have scored, to be fair, but it was like when people used to get frustrated with Mourinho using Fellaini the way he used him doing that. It was like Mourinho's plan was like, just hoof it to Fellaini, he'll take it down with his chest and he'll find somebody. Like, is that what we're doing now? Just leave Maguire in the box and let him do something? Like, it's great when it works, but if that's your last resort, if that's your Hail Mary as a manager, I'm very, very worried about that. Box says Maguire could have passed to Højlund in that last second, or is that harsh? Could have done a lot of things. I'm not going to go in too harshly on Maguire for it because he's a defender. Like, he's like, being a striker is not really what he's going to be doing, but it's just, I'm more concerned with what Amorim's decision to do it in the first place. And I'm not going to rely on Maguire to pass. Like, it's just like keepers in penalty shootouts, like when they're the one that comes time for them to take a kick. Like, I'm not going to go too harshly on a keeper for that. I don't care if a defender scores goals or not. That's not their job, personally, but I hear you. Then he says, I would have put Garnacho at halftime for Rasmus. Yeah, Garnacho's had an absolute stinker. How he lasted that match was beyond me. But it is what it is, man. He was not having a good game. And that's what you're going to probably just don't have. Who else are we going to do? Like you're saying, bring on Højlund, maybe drop Xerxes back. But Xerxes wasn't doing a whole lot. but again, it's just we left it a little too late when like we did the whole Maguire thing came in literally with 3 minutes left of regular time. Like that's it's way too late to do that. We saw him do that a couple times now, Amorim. Like leave it way too late to make those kind of changes to impact a match. And so it's one thing I need to see more of from Ruben Amorim. Some actual in-game management, and you could say like he took off the defensive midfielders, put out some more attacking-minded ones, and brought some attacking subs on. But did it look like the plan changed at all? Like it didn't look like anything changed to me. So, um, Rob's been a member here for 2 months. Big up, Rob. Is Amorim sending a message about a lack of forwards? I mean, if he is, I mean, we already know that, and he's already said a couple times like we struggle to score goals. He's had nothing but good things to say about Hoyland, and Xerxes not really a nine, but we've been linked heavily with a lot of strikers. The Liam Delap stuff we just discussed day before yesterday or yesterday as well. Um, we need goals. I mean, we all know we need goals, and so it's like what I always wondered about that when it comes to managers. Like what good comes from that? Like it doesn't seem like it's a winnable move by a manager to do that kind of stuff. It was like when Thomas Tuchel wanted a center back at PSG and got Danilo Pereira and then threw a fit and played Danilo Pereira as a center back. Like what is he going to accomplish? It's only going to get you in trouble as a manager. Um, but I don't know what Amorim's plan was for that. I didn't agree with it. I didn't. But again, I saw the starting 11. I raised my eyebrow and then had to see what happened. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it didn't work. And those are the kind of decisions I've said time and time again that managers like that's only going to go against them. So again, maybe it's just making do with what he has, but at the same time, it was working before the international break with what we had as well. And so I just didn't see the need to make so many changes, and I didn't like that last change with McGuire. But it is what it is. Rob says, can understand Ugarte being taken off, given him playing and needing oxygen in Bolivia, I think. Oh, is that what did something happen on international break? Interesting. Then he says, just get the man Gyökeres and Embuemo. I don't think that Gyökeres is going to happen, though. I think that we're looking at a little younger profiles. I think Gyökeres will be perfect. Personally, I think he'd be good. I think he'd be the perfect kind of mentor for Hoyland. I think they're very similar play styles personally, but it's not up to me. We did the summer rebuild. You guys know who I want. We've seen names that are linked. It's just, I seem a little pessimistic. I'm just very frustrated still. It was such a bad performance. Teresa says he gave Maguire minutes as he's coming back from injury. He will be playing next match. I don't have a problem with Maguire getting minutes. It's the using him as the striker target for the last 5 minutes of the game that frustrates me because it's more just about what it says about where we're at right now, and if that's what Amorim's only kind of answer to trying like being down 1-0 in the dying minutes. If that's it, like that frustrates me to no end. So what we gonna do here? Danny says this is why we will fail. It's a big summer. We still have Europa League. We can do something. I got to talk for a second, though, because you guys mentioned it earlier. What a bunch of absolute dirtbags Forest were yesterday, especially Nico Williams and Yates. Those two were absolute dirtbags. Going like, the entire Forest team going down literally whenever they were touched, and the ref fell for it every single time. Even Gibbs White, who literally threw an elbow at Casemiro, went down after they collided. Like Casemiro had fouled him. Casemiro didn't even touch him. Gibbs White is the one who threw the elbow. Like he should have seen a red for that. And how Yates escaped the yellow for his late challenge on Bruno in the second half is an absolute shambles. The ref, and I tweeted this during the match, like the ref literally was letting the crowd make the decisions for him throughout that entire match. And he was buying it hook, line, and sinker whenever the Forest players would go down. And it was so frustrating to watch, man. So inconsistent. The ref was literally just feeling the pressure of the crowd the whole night, and it's just lost control of the game. Horrible refereeing display, and I saved it for the end, so I wasn't using that as an excuse for anything, but I had to point it out because it's mostly the Forest players than anything. But in any case, I said earlier that I only thought we looked like we were going to score within those last 5 or 10 minutes. But again, a lot of that had to do with Forrest getting tired. You can tell they were getting tired. They were going in on each other a couple times. Gibbs White and Milinkovic going in on each other. They were just getting tired. They were getting a little sloppy. They've been playing, obviously, counterattack football. That'll do it. That'll wear you down. So despite what Amorim might say, despite what commentators might say, we did not impose our will. Even in those last dying minutes, we did not take control of the match. Forrest left their foot off the gas, and we resorted to long balls in the box for Harry Maguire. That was it. That was it. Physicality, stamina, and fight have been the difference makers, not only in our results this year, but in the league entirely right now. It's no coincidence that the teams like Forest, like the Newcastles, like the Bournemouths, like these teams that are physical, like Liverpool, even Arsenal, like these are the teams that are doing well because they show up, they run their socks off, and they give a shit. They win their individual battles, and that's where we're struggling. It's no coincidence that we are where we are on the table right now because we have no physicality, we have no mentality, we have no fight. That's just, we've seen it time and time again. We're constantly second best. We're constantly losing those individual battles, chasing shadows. I mean, that whole weak ass challenge from Garnacho on Alanga when he scored, that just says it all. Like that was one of the worst challenges I've ever seen in my life. Individual skill can only get you so far because when it has an off day like it did yesterday, you have to have players that fight, and we just don't. So we definitely need to strengthen in the summer. And even if he gets back in the summer, Amorim is going to have to find a way to turn this around. Like, we've still not won back-to-back league games this year. Amorim's got to do better, especially if he gets back, because I can see him getting the sack before Christmas if results don't improve, especially if he gets players. But hey, it is what it is. We get the Manchester Derby this weekend, so that's fun. Honestly, right now, the only thing that matters to me is Europa League. We got a tough two-legged tie against Lyon coming up. We really need to just put all our eggs in that Europa League basket here. Let me see what you guys say here. Oh, Bach says Yates loved the moan. Yeah, Yates was freaking a disgrace yesterday. Danny B says, wait, Goldberg has huge clickbait stream saying talks held in a picture of Gyökeres. I'm sure he does. I mean, y'all can go watch that stream and see what he has to say. But Rob says, who was the ref? What was the guy's name? Gillett or something like that? Box says David. Yeah, Gillett. Yeah. He was absolute shambles. I'm not blaming the refs. That's a Tim Pot thing to do, but I have to point out the fact that he did let the crowd basically influence a lot of his decisions, in my opinion. But it is what it is. We had 90 minutes to do something and we didn't do it. So what are you going to do? But that is it from me on the match. You guys let me know your thoughts. If you weren't able to catch the live, leave your thoughts in the comments. Please, please, please like the video on your way out. Please subscribe to the channel. If you are new, keep a lookout for some merch. Once I get some necessary paperwork in, check the memberships to see how you can get more involved, and keep a lookout for the next episode of What If. That's going to be dropping soon. So Rob says, was half thinking it was that Arsenal Madly clown. Oh, that guy was awful. And I'm trying to remember all these poor refereeing decisions because, again, you guys know we're going to be doing the season award show at the end of the season. And so one of the awards last year was the worst refereeing decision. I can't remember a whole lot of individual ones that point out this year. We've had a lot of really good goals, though, so that one will be interesting. But we do have some interesting stuff to talk about in the summer. Buck says, Gillette said his dream was the ref at Anfield, and he's a big fan. Now he's joined Premier League. He's banned from doing Liverpool matches. Well, why isn't he banned from doing United matches then, the tool? Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by today. I do appreciate your thoughts and opinions. As always, don't be afraid to disagree. Don't be afraid to voice your opinion. That's what we're here for. There's nothing like a wrong answer. So until next time, you guys, keep a lookout, like I said, on some fresh exclusive content, and I will see you guys on the next one. Enjoy your day.